Hope you all listened to the previous sessions as well. So yes or no, is there anyone who just joined today? Is there anyone who just joined today who are not part of the previous sessions? Can you ping in the chat box?
I
If
joined
there is
earlier.
any, okay, Bindu. Okay. Okay, no worries. So till now, we covered very fundamentals of some IT. So we have not entered into the AWS yet. But today, along with our previous sessions, we will also learn a new point, and it is not just a theoretical part. We will also make our hands dirty and we'll also create something in our AWS console. And I'll show you how the AWS console looks and how we can create a resource in AWS console. So before entering into today's topic, so if you look at the board, so we have completed class 1, class 2, class 3, which are 3 fundamental classes. Okay. So people who missed the session, so you don't need to worry. So we just covered very basics like what is a server, what is an IP address, what is a network, what is AWS, what is cloud. So if I go back this class 3, so yeah. So I just explained what are the different services that we have in Amazon Web Services. If you want to build an application, what exactly that you need, and based on that, how AWS services are available. So that is what we have seen. For example, to create a network, we have a service in AWS. To create a server, we have a service in AWS. To monitor a server, we have a service in AWS. To take a backup, we have a service in AWS. To add a load balancer, we have a service in AWS. To do an automatic scaling, we have a service in AWS. And we have seen that, where exactly that we can get the jobs. So coming to the cloud, so we all have the vacancies in all different domains. Like it can be a healthcare, it can be a travel, it can be an e-commerce, it can be anything. Wherever the IT infrastructure is there, it can be an education system, it can be a college, it can be anything. So wherever there is an IT infrastructure, so definitely 90% of people are using cloud there. So we'll definitely have vacancies in that. So this is what we have seen in the yesterday's session. And before that, in the class 2, we have seen what is a network, and we have seen what is a server, and we have seen what is an IP address. And in the class 1, again, we try to understand the difference between physical and virtual. And we have taken an example of a normal Google Drive and a memory card inside the mobile. So memory card is a physical, Google Drive is a virtual. Virtual is nothing but a cloud. And coming to the servers, so what is a server? Server is nothing but a machine. When there is a computer, if you host application on it, then we can call it as a server. So I told you a normal example saying that when there is a bottle, and if you fill bottle with a water, you'll call it as a water bottle. And if you fill bottle with a drink, you'll call it as a drink bottle. Similarly, when there is a machine, if you host application on it, you'll call it as an application server. And if you host database on it, you'll call it as a database server. So this is what we discussed so far. Let's enter into this today's session. So today we will learn a new point again. So which you're going to add another point in your resumes. Remember one thing, whatever the new point that you learn every day, that should become a new point in your resume. Clear? Hope you are all good with this, whatever we discussed so far. Are you all ready to, learn one more new point? Yes or no? I need at least 10 replies.
Yes.
I got only one reply. Very good. Very good. Few more replies. So you should to learn a new point because it is like an asset. Whatever you are learning, a new point is like an asset. So whenever you earn money, earn money, so you'll be buying something, right? A land or a flat or something. That is how. So whenever you joined a session, whatever a point that you learned, so that should be like your asset to discuss in your interviews. Great. Let's go back. So we entered into the AWS, and now we know that what is a cloud and what are the different services that it provides. And we know that cloud is also pay as you go model. And we know what is a network and what is a server. Let's try to understand about regions. What is a region in AWS? What is region in AWS? Let me just take a normal example. Let's say, for example, I am, supplying a product. Let's say there is a product, it can be a shirt or it can be anything. So I decided to start my business in one country. So there is a product I'm designing, and I decided to start that particular product in one country. And in future, I expanded that, and I also started that business in other countries. So I'm repeating it. I started developing a product. It can be a shirt, it can be a coffee powder, it can be anything. Initially, I started that in one country, and in future, I expanded that into a different countries. So what will I do? I always manufacture my products in India, and will I export all the time, or will I start a warehouse in the respective countries? So I need to get an answer from you. Will I develop, or will I manufacture all the products in one country and will I export to the all countries, or will I start warehouses in the respective countries? Which one will be the easy? Is it starting the warehouse or doing everything in one country and exporting to all other countries?
Warehouse.
Very good. You can put it in the chat box. Okay, I got two answers. Few more answers. Few more answers. Few more answers. I got only two answers in the chat box. Few more answers. Very good. So that is what happened here. Amazon Web Services is a product. Amazon Web Services is a product. So they assume that they started this product in US. So we know what is Amazon Web Services, which is a service provider. When you create something virtually, it is maintaining physically. So let's say it started in the US. So whatever we create virtually, that will be stored physically in the US. And if they started doing in India, they should start a warehouse in India, right? So they started that in Mumbai. They started that in Mumbai. So whenever you create resources virtually, you need to select the nearest region to you. Whenever we create resources virtually, you need to select the nearest region to you, so that whatever you create virtually, that will be physically located in that particular region. Assume that I'm working on ABBUS application. All my ABBUS application users will be from India. So that, what will I choose? Do I need to put my infrastructure physically in India or somewhere in the US? All my users for my ABBUS application is from India. Will I choose my application infrastructure should be in India or should be in the US? What will I choose? So I always choose India, because if I put my physical infrastructure in US and if every day I'm accessing it from India, obviously there will be a lot of issues. There will be a cost, there will be a latency, there will be a lot of issues. So all my users are from India, so that the product which I developed is using in India, so that all my infrastructure related to that should be in India, should not be in US. So whenever we do anything in our AWS console, whenever we create anything virtually in our AWS console, obviously we have to choose the nearest region for us. So the nearest region for us is Mumbai, as well as we also have the nearest region, which is Hyderabad. But as of now, all the services or all the functionality is not yet started in Hyderabad. So many of the people are choosing Mumbai. So for next 2 months, whatever you create, so choose Mumbai and do it in Mumbai region. Okay, this is called region. And inside the region, we also have availability zones. So let me just change the color of it. We also have the availability zones. So these availability zones is AP-South 1A, AP-South, AP-South 1B, and AP-South 1C. AP-South 1C. Okay. In each and every region, there will be availability zones. Don't assume that for every region we have only 3 availability zones. It always depends on the usage of that particular region. In Mumbai region, earlier we supposed to have 2 availability zones, but now we have 3 availability zones. In Mumbai region, earlier we have 2 availability zones, but now we have 3 availability zones. In interview, if someone asks you that, in which region that you are working, it depends on your client. See, if I'm working for a US client, definitely what I need to choose, some North Virginia or whatever it is, the region where client is located, and I have to work in that particular region. If I'm working for some Indian client, assume that ABBUS is one of the example, or �W𝐞𝐻 is one of the example, or anything. So if you're working a product which is being used in only India, so you can say that we worked in Mumbai region. In each and every region, there will be an availability zones, depends on their usage. So in Mumbai region, we have 3 availability zones. And inside the availability zones, we also have data centers. Data centers. Let me change the color of it. Yes. So we have multiple data centers. We have multiple data centers. The data center is nothing but where your physical server is located exactly. That call it as a data center. Okay. So remember this workflow: region, availability zones, data centers. Whenever you started working in your AWS console, you must select the region because it is very important. The reason is, if you create some resources in Mumbai region that may not be visible in another region. Very few regions are global. I mean, very few services are global services. Many of the services in AWS are region specific. Let's say if I created a virtual machine in Mumbai region, and tomorrow if I did logged in into the Mumbai region and if I selected a different region, you will forget to delete that particular region. You will forget to delete that particular region, particular service, so that it leads or it ends up with a billing. So remember that whenever you create something, make sure you're following one particular region and don't forget to clean up the resources. Okay, region, availability zones, and data centers. Now I'll just walk you through the AWS console where the region is located and where this, you need to select and all. And before showing it, many one of you might not have the AWS account with you. Okay, so I'll also give you the steps to create an AWS account. So to create the AWS account, step one, you just need to enter into the Google and just type AWS console login. Okay. So after that, you can directly go to the first link itself. There, you might have an option like create free tier account, or console login. So if you have a direct option to create a free tier account, you can click on it, or else if you find an option for console login, you can click on that. So once you click on it, bottom you can see a create free tier account here. It will ask you to enter the credentials, and down to that, it will show you create free tier account. Free tier account. After that, it will ask you an email address. It will ask your email address, and it will send you an verification code. Verification code. You have to enter the verification code. After that, it will ask you account name. It will ask your account name. And after that, it will ask you the details of your address and everything. But make sure there is an option called business or personal. 200%. 200% you need to select the personal. By mistake, if you leave it as a business, automatically amount will be debited from your card. So you should make sure that select the personal account, and once you created the account, it will be difficult for you to identify whether it is business or personal. So make sure while creating itself, select the personal account and give your full name, address, everything, and it will ask you the PAN as well. And in the next step, it will ask you for the card details. So you have to use the debit or credit card, and make sure online international transactions should be enabled on your card. Online international transaction should be enabled on your card, and 2 rupees will be debited from your card, and which will be get refunded later soon. And again, it will ask you for your mobile number, and it sends you a code again, and your account will get created. Okay, so these are all the steps that you need to follow to create an account. While creating an account, if you got any issue, we will definitely help you. So let me go back to this console. You can see here, let me just sign out and let me show it to you again. So let me just open a fresh browser. If I open the Google, so I can type here AWS console login. So you can directly go to the first link. If you click on this, see you have an option to sign into console here, right? If you click on sign into console, so here, bottom you can see, create a new AWS account. Okay, so you can just click on this so that it will take you this step which I shown you, your email address and a verification code, and after that your details, card details and all. So here, since I already have an account, I'm going to log in into my account. So there is an option called sign in to use root user. So what is a root user? What is an IAM user? As of now, just leave it to me. So at one point, so whenever it requires, I'll make you understand what is the difference between a root user and IAM user. But as of now, just select the root user and give your email ID. So let me give my email address here. So let me give the password as well. Done. So I logged in into my AWS account. So this is AWS console. This is what we are discussing from yesterday, AWS console, right? This is what an AWS console. So I related with this some normal Flipkart e-commerce account, and whenever you logged in into your Flipkart account, and where you can able to see all the products which are available to order. So that place we call it as a console. That is the example that I have given to you yesterday, right? So here also, this is the AWS console, the place where you can stand and see all the AWS services which are available. So that place is nothing but a console. Okay, top right side, you can see the regions. Yeah, so these are all the different regions where Amazon Web Services is available. So if you select Mumbai region, all your infrastructure will be get located in our Mumbai region. If you select any other region, so your infrastructure will be get located in a different region. So this is about AWS console. Are you all good with this? Have you understood this? Are you all good with this? Are you all excited to create something in this AWS console now? Shall we create something? Shall we practice something in our AWS console? Great. So, but before going to the practice, what we'll do is we'll discuss something theoretically, what we are planning to create. And then we'll try to come back to the AWS console and we'll see all the options in AWS Amazon Web Services console. Let's go back to the whiteboard. Yeah. So I'm just recapping it. So whatever we discussed so far, we discussed about regions. Region is nothing but a place where all our physical infrastructure will be located. Whenever you are working on Amazon Web Services, must and should you always need to select the region that where you want to work. And inside the region, we have the availability zones and we have the data centers. And after that, I gave you a small summary of how to create an AWS account. So simply just you need to go to the AWS console, log in into the Google, and just click on create free account. I've shown you up to this step, and after that it will just ask you the details. Click on next. But one key point is, don't select business, select personal. Done. So now in our previous session, we have seen what is virtual machine. Let's try to create this virtual machine in our AWS account now. Yesterday also, when I gave you on manabadi.com example, not yesterday, I think, yeah, yesterday. So I've told you that to create a server, there will be a service. To create a load balancer, there is a service. To monitor the server, there will be a service. To route the traffic from domain name to a particular server, we have a service, right? Let's begin with a server here. In this example, let's begin with the server. What is the service that is available to create a server? And what are all the steps that it includes? Okay, let's go back. Now, virtual machine. Virtual machine is nothing but a, can I say that virtual machine is nothing but a computer? Or virtual machine is nothing but a laptop? And a laptop is also nothing but just a machine? Can I say this? Yes or no? Can I say this? Virtual machine is nothing but a computer, computer is nothing but a laptop, laptop is nothing but a machine. Can I say this? Can I say this? Great. Now let's go. For example, if I went to a shopping mall, let's say, assume that I went to a Reliance Mart or Reliance Digital to buy a computer or to buy a laptop. Blindly, I will not go to a computer shop and I'll pick something and I'll come back to the home, right? I will have some configuration in my mind. Based on that, I will be selecting whatever the computer or whatever the machine that I want. And even though when you went to any of Bajaj Electronics or anywhere, if there is a computer is placed or if there is a laptop placed, there will be a tag to it. There is a small tag where it will contain all the information of that particular system. So can you just tell me what are all the parameters that we need to look for whenever you buy a computer? So don't think too much about AWS virtual machine. Just think about your computer. And if I want to buy a computer, what are all the steps that I have? What are all the options that I need to look for? I need answers. Great. So I got an answer from, let me look at the names. I got an answer from Srikanth. He said it is a storage. Very good. Correct answer. Any other answer? Any other answer? I got an answer from Pawan Kalyan, and I got an answer from Sheikh, storage, RAM. Okay. So all this belongs to a CPU or a RAM. Absolutely. This is a great answer. Any other answer? Any other answer? Graphic card. Yes. Very good. Hard disk. Yeah. Very good. So that comes again a storage part. Hard disk also comes under a storage. Very good. Any other answers? When there is a computer in front of you, and there are very good Sheikh. He said operating system, and Satish also told it is an operating system. Very good. Very good. Operating system. So these are all the options or parameters or whatever it is that we'll have in a computer. One is operating system, CPU, RAM, and storage or hard disk. Everything depends on these 3 points. Everything depends on these 3 points. Our computer technically depends on these 3 points, and as well as the cost also will depends on these 3 points. Yes or no? The cost also depends on these 3 points only. If you feel that I don't want a certain CPU and RAM, obviously the cost of the computer get reduced. And if you feel that I don't want 500 GB storage, or if I don't want 1 TB storage, again the price will get reduced. So all your computer or a laptop or a server will be in these 3 points only. Okay. Now, whoever answered these 3 points, or whoever knows these 3 points, so they already knows about a virtual machine in AWS. So 50% of a particular service which we are using to create a virtual machine, you already got that. Only the other 50% that you're learning now. 50% you already know about it. Now you're just trying to understand the AWS terminology. That's it. You already know the 50% of it. Now you're trying to understand the AWS terminology of it. Operating system. Yes. So whenever you want to create a virtual machine in AWS, we have a service called Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic Compute Cloud. Let's try to understand the name, why they named it as Elastic Compute Cloud. So, for example, you have a computer and you got 4 GB RAM for that computer. Okay. Is it easy for you always to upgrade and downgrade the RAM? Yes or no? You bought a computer. Is it easy for you to upgrade and downgrade RAM for that computer with very less cost, or with very less manual intervention? Or, is it the process is very easy, or is it very tough? Obviously, yes, it is very tough. But if you create virtual machine in AWS, you will be using the service called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic means, what is the meaning of elastic? Which can be stretchable. It can be increased or it can be decreased. That is called elastic. Flexible, exactly. Compute. Compute is nothing but RAM, CPU, memory, whatever it is. These are all comes under compute. Cloud. Cloud is nothing but, instead of you maintaining it, someone else is maintaining it. In our case, service provider is ready to maintain that. And who is the service provider today? Amazon Web is a service provider. So, Elastic Compute Cloud. Whatever you create using of Elastic Compute Cloud service, it is flexible and it also hosted in cloud and managed by cloud. So for that reason, they named it as Elastic Compute Cloud. Now, what we are planning to create using of Elastic Compute Cloud? Virtual machines. We are planning to create virtual machines using of Elastic Compute Cloud. But instead of calling it as a virtual machines, you can always call it as a virtual machines. There is no doubt in it. But in AWS, we call it as a instances. Instances. So now in this, I will add instances. So virtual machine is nothing but a computer. Computer is nothing but a laptop. Laptop is nothing but a machine. Machine is nothing but an instances. Virtual machine is nothing but an instance. So slowly I will move from non-technical terminology to technical terminology, or AWS terminology. Till now I call it as a virtual machine, right? From now I'll call it as an instances. Elastic Compute Cloud. So using of an EC2 service, we will create instances, and the steps to create an instance is equal to a steps that you follow to buy a computer. Okay, the steps to create an instance, or the steps involved to create an instance, is equal to steps that you followed to buy a laptop or a computer. So you said an operating system, right? Yes. We can also call it as an operating system. But here we are calling it as an AMI. The full form of AMI is Amazon Machine Image. Amazon Machine Image. So, image. What do you mean by an image? Let's say, for example, I'm writing a notes of it, everything, right? So, if I create image of this particular board, so it will be all will be captured in that image, and from that image, I can able to create another n number of images. So can I call it as image is kind of a blueprint where I can able to replicate it to 100 or 1000 or infinite items? Yes or no? Yes or no, please? Amazon machine image. Okay. So Amazon machine image is nothing but an operating system here. So we have a different images for each and every operating system. For example, long back, earlier days, whenever we buy a computer, to install the operating system, we supposed to insert the disk, and we supposed to wait for 45 minutes or 1 hour to install the operating system. After that, instead of inserting the disk, we just inserting the pen drive, and we are flashing that ISO file, or and we are installing the operating system. But here we do not have any physical machine with us to install the operating system. So the technology is updated. The Amazon designed the images for each and every operating system, for Windows, for Linux, for Mac OS, for Ubuntu, for everything. They designed an images and they captured it and they kept it there. It is kind of a blueprint. If you select that, if you select on Windows operating system image, so that installs the Windows operating system on your virtual machine. I'm repeating this sentence again. If you select the Windows operating system image, that installs the Windows operating system in your virtual machine. Okay. Now, after that, instance type. Instance type. Instance type is nothing but CPU, memory, all comes under instance type. Here, instance types are designed into families. Families. Kind of a packages. For example, we have T family, M family, R family, D family. We have a different families. If I take an example of a T family, if I take an example of a T family, inside that they have T2 micro, T2 medium, T2 small, something like this. Each and every instance type is having a set of configuration. Each and every instance type is having a set of configuration. For example, if T2 micro is having one CPU and 1 GB memory, T2 medium will have one CPU and 2 GB memory. T2 large, it increases its configuration. So whenever you are creating a virtual machine, you can able to see the table. Okay, for T2 micro, I'm getting this configuration, so I'll select this. At the same time, at any time, after creating a virtual machine also, you can upgrade and you can downgrade your instance types. Today, if you go with an T2 micro, yes, tomorrow you can increase to T2 medium. For example, whenever I'm designing an Abibus application, initially the users will not access to my application, right? Until the application goes live. So initially I'll go with the T2 medium. But whenever it is going to the live, if I feel that, okay, this particular configuration may not be sufficient, so I'll increase that. And if I feel that, okay, I'm not utilizing this properly, I can immediately downgrade that. So that is the reason we are calling it as a EC2, elastic. That is the reason we are calling it as an elastic. Okay. Here, T is nothing but a family name. T is nothing but a family name. And 2 is nothing but generation. 2 is nothing but generation. And micro is nothing but a size of the instance. Micro is nothing but size of the instance. Size of the instance. Okay. What are the 2 steps that we learned? One is AMI, where you select the operating system. And the second one is instance type, where you will select the RAM, CPU, memory and all. So another one, storage. As of now, don't bother about this storage step, because we will have a separate session on the storage. Okay. As of now, just feel you know about AMI and you know about instance type. And another important step that we have, which is key pairs. Key pair is for authentication purpose. Authentication. Okay, key pair is for authentication purpose. Whenever you create a virtual machine, it requires a username and password to log in into that machine, right? So along with the username, whatever the key pair that you specified, that becomes as a password. So we have a .pem, mostly we'll use .pem format and .ppk format. It is an extension. So .pem, we will use it for Windows, and .ppk we will use for PuTTY, so which is for Linux machines. So don't get confused as of now. Remember that we are going to create a Windows machine now. I'll show it how the Windows machine looks now. So let's go and create whatever the steps that you have seen so far in this theoretical part. One is AMI, which is Amazon Machine Image. The other one is instance type, where you're selecting the RAM, memory, CPU and all, and key pair for authentication. With these 3 steps, we'll go to the AWS console and we'll create an instance. Okay, are you all ready to see the practical? Yes or no? Are you all ready to see the practical? Yes or no? How to create a virtual machine in your AWS account. Till now, we have the Windows machines in front of you and which is maintained by you. Okay, you are maintaining it and you created it. But now we are creating it, we are using it, but maintaining it by someone else. Okay, let's go back to the AWS console. This is the AWS console. And what is the service that we need to use to create a virtual machine? Can I get some answers? What is the service that we need to use to create a virtual machine? What is the service? Very good. Few more answers. What is the service? Very good, Satish. Very good, Pawan Kalyan. Few more answers. AMI is one of the step. Good, Janakiram. Another step. Very good. So let's go and search for EC2. So you can able to see the service there, right? So you can see the definition as well. Virtual servers in the cloud. So whatever we discussed so far is virtual servers. Virtual servers are nothing but virtual machines. Virtual machines are nothing but instances. Just click on EC2. And you can see the instances here, or you can see the launch instance option. Just click on launch instance. Done. So it is asking for name of the instance. It is asking for name of the instance. So I'm giving mind circuit. Okay, mind circuit. So here you can see AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Okay. So before going to the next step, let's talk about a small interview tip on EC2 service. The reason why I'm repeating the each and every step is, In interview, when someone asks you, what is EC2? Okay, so since if I'm going completely with the theoretical part and practical part, you might feel bored, right? So I'm just giving you a small interview question and interview answer of it. If someone asks you, what is an EC2? You know what is EC2 now? You know what is EC2 now? So that is the reason I'm taking this as an example. What is an EC2? So you should not say that EC2 is an elastic compute cloud and to create an instance. Remember, your answer should not be a single statement. Always, your answer should be at least 20 seconds or 25 seconds. Okay. So let's say if someone asks me like, what is an EC2 service? So I'll start from, so EC2 is an elastic compute cloud where it will help us to create virtual machines in our AWS account. And virtual machine is nothing but a machine which we are creating and we are using it, but we are not maintaining it. When someone else is maintaining it, that we call it as a cloud virtual machine. So on behalf of us, someone will maintain it. And we have different steps to create a virtual machine. One is we have to give the name of the instance, and the other one is we have to select an operating system while creating a virtual machine. And instead of calling it as an operating system in AWS, we'll call it as an OS image or Amazon machine image. So Amazon machine image is nothing but my operating system will be packaged and putting into that, and it is kind of a blueprint. Whenever we create any machine, we can select an operating system. And also we have an instance type where we have a different families in the instance type, like T family, M family, R family, D family, and T2 micro. So that is how you should able to answer it. Okay. So going forward, I'll also tell you when someone asks you about, tell me about yourself, how you should tell about yourself. You should not say that my name is Santosh, I'm from Kakinada, my father name is Nageshwar Rao, I have one sister. No one are interested about to know about your personal relationships and personal family. So they are very specific about your technical skills. You always need to give a brief technical explanation what you have done earlier, so your skills. So I'll also tell you that how you need to give it, and your introduction also should be at least 1 minute or at least 1.5 minutes. If there is a 30 minutes of interview, you should be focused at that. At least 15 minutes or 16 minutes you should talk, not allowing others to talk. If you are allowing others to talk, instead of asking 3 questions, they'll ask you 10 questions. So make sure whatever you learn, you should learn it in depth and you should talk about it. You should learn how to talk about it. You should not give your one-line single answers. Okay. So here we are giving a name and we are giving an image. And if I scroll down, you can see the instance type, which we discussed theoretically. If I click the drop-down button here, so you can see T2 Nano, it is getting 1 CPU and 0.5 GB memory. And if I look at T2 Micro, you can see 1 GB and 1 CPU and 1 GB memory. Okay, I'm going with a T2 Micro and key pair, create key pair. I'm going with a PM file. So here, I'm going with 𝐼𝐿 name. So remember, whatever the key pair that you are giving here, if you click on create key pair, so this key pair will get downloaded into my local machine. This is a kind of a password. Okay, scroll down, and just click on launch instance. So let me check. I think I selected one second. Let me delete this. I selected Linux AMI. Let me create a Windows machine. Launch instance again, 𝐻𝐻 Windows. Okay, so I'm selecting the Windows machine here. You can see the Windows here. I'm selecting the Windows machine. Scroll down. So leaving the T3 micro, scroll down. I can select the existing key pair, 𝐻𝐻. If I used it for one time in my account, I can reuse it for next time as well. And launch instance. So go to the EC2. We have the instances here. Done. Main circuit, we have the Windows instance here. Okay. So it is in running now. When you create a Windows machine, to log into that particular Windows machine, you have to wait for at least 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. So you can see the status check here. It is initializing. This is a refresh button. If you can click on refresh here. And so if you select the instance here, there is a arrow mark here. If you click this, you'll get the complete details of your instance, like instance ID, public IP address, private IP address, everything. Okay. So there is an instance state option here, right? You can stop the instance anytime you want. And later, if you want, you can start the instance. And you can also terminate the instance. Terminate means delete, completely delete. You cannot get your instance back again if you delete the instance. Remember that. If you delete the instance, you cannot get your instance back again. If you stop the instance, anytime, whenever you want, you can start the instance. Once you deleted the instance, you can see the before instance which I deleted, right? It will be there for some time, for around 15 to 20 minutes. Automatically, it will disappear. Okay. So select this. To log into this machine, click on connect here. Click on RDP client here. So click on get password here. Click on get password. You need to upload the private key, which is the key file that you created while creating an instance. Select that and select this PEM file which I created, upload it, decrypt the password, decrypt the password. So here you can see username is administrator and password, you just generated it. I'm just copying the password, and I wanted to put it in my notepad here. So let me paste it here. So now I created a virtual machine and I generated a password for it. How to log into this machine? For Windows machines, you will be using RDP client to log in. In all your Windows laptops, you will have RDP. You don't need to install anything. You all will have RDP in your Windows laptops. So since I'm using a different operating system, I installed RDP. So in your laptops, you can just go to the, so if you lost the PEM file, still you can log into it. So by just clicking on the connect here, so you can, there is a different options, right? EC2, serial console or session manager. So with these options, you can connect. Okay, clear, Satish? So now, coming back, RDP. So you will have RDP in your laptops. I installed RDP. In your laptops, if you want to open the RDP, you can go to the start and you can type RDP. So let me open my RDP, remote desktop connection. One second. Okay. So if I click on add PC here, you don't need to click on add PC. When you open the RDP, directly it will ask you the host name. Host name is nothing but an IP address of an instance. So let me check what is the IP address of an instance. 13.202.139. So this is, click on add, click on double click. Username is administrator. And go back to the password. I have my password in my notepad, right? So open this, Control C, and open this, paste it here, continue. So now I'm going to log in into the Windows machine. So you know how the Windows machine will look. So you can correlate easily. So when you log in for the first time, it just takes a couple of minutes to get it ready. Yes. So did you see the Windows machine now? Did you feel the difference, or did you get some clarity on it? So you can see this is a Windows machine. Is it clear or not? Yes or no, guys? Yes or no? Now, did you understand the difference between physical machine and virtual machine? So you can see a virtual machine, a Windows machine in front of you, but you are not maintaining it. Someone else is maintaining it. But your laptop is also a Windows machine, but it's a physical machine. You are maintaining it. I need a couple of other replies. Only 5 replies I got. Few more replies, please. Are you clear or not? Difference between a physical machine and a virtual machine. So we created a virtual machine in AWS today. One more reply. Very good, Vinay. Very good, Sheikh. One more reply, guys. Did you understand the difference between a physical machine and a virtual machine? Physical machine is your computer, which is in front of you. Virtual machine, we logged in, but the computer is not with us, which is somewhere else. Someone else is maintaining it. So that is a virtual machine. So to delete this, terminate, delete. So coming back, see, this is an AWS account. And inside this, we created, in AWS network, we created one Windows machine. And this is, I'm at 𝗏𝐻𝐶ircuit Institute and I connected to the 𝗏𝐻𝐶ircuit internet. I'm in the 𝗏𝐻𝐶ircuit network. And I have a machine here, which is my computer, which you're seeing. So now, can you correlate the example where we discussed there are 2 different houses? If you want to communicate between 2 different houses, we need to use a professional name. If it is within the house, we should use a nickname. So this is a different machine which is located in AWS network, and my computer is located in 𝗏𝐻𝐶ircuit. So that is the reason we copied a public IP and we connected with the help of public IP. Are you clear or not? Yes or no? Yes or no? Because we copied the public IP and we gave the public IP to connect to that Windows machine. We should understand why we copied a public IP and why we gave the public IP there to connect to that machine. Clear, guys? Yes or no? Very good. Very good. So now, let's summarize what we have discussed so far. Okay? So today, we discussed about regions. Today, we discussed about regions. And we discussed about, let me make it caps lock. We discussed about regions. And we discussed about availability zones. And we discussed about data centers. We discussed about EC2 service. And we created Windows instance in our AWS console. And we have seen different steps involved, like AMI, instance type and all. Are you all good with this? Any questions from this? Are you all good with this, guys? Any question from this? Are you all good? Any doubts? Please ask me if you have any doubts from this. We have created a Windows virtual machine and we logged into it. So the task for today is, by tomorrow, everyone should create Windows virtual machine and you should log into it. That is what your task. Do you have any confusion? After looking at the Windows machine, hope you should get clarity of what is the difference between a physical machine and a virtual machine. Good. I got only 6 replies or 7 replies. What about others? Are you all good? Each and everyone should understood. Feel free to ask if you have any questions. So we all should work as a team. So believe that you are all working as an internship. You're all working as an interns. You are not just attending a training. So going forward, we have very good tasks with us. You should fight with the task. You should do with that. Okay. So can you explain Windows once? Yes. So Windows is an operating system. So using of that Windows operating system, so that operating system is packaged and added into an image. So that we are calling it as an AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Using that image, we created an instance. While creating an instance, we have selected a different steps. One is AMI, the other one is instance type, the other one is a key pair. I have not touched the other steps. We do have the other steps, but I'll tell you when time comes. As of now, don't think about it. With these 3 steps, I created an instance, and using of RDP, I logged into that particular instance. Okay, clear, 𝐿𝐴𝐿? Good. If you have any questions, please ask me. If you are all good, we can conclude the session. And feel free, practice this. Whatever I'm doing it here, first 1 week, you will be doing whatever I did here, you can go and practice. But after 1 week, don't assume that you will practice the same. I'll give you a new task, which we are not doing in the classroom. You have to do it on your own. That's how you can show some real-time experience. Clear? Very good. If you do not have any doubts, we can close the session, guys. Thank you so much for joining. So make your hands dirty, practice it. If you block at somewhere, we are there to help you. Okay.